Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. Another day with no clear updates from the OpTic Texas roster mania front, but that does not mean that there's no chili pepper emojis in the title of today's video, because Octane gave his thoughts last night on Dashy and his playstyle, putting him into a rather overrated category, but did defend iLLeY's role just a few days ago. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I'd greatly appreciate it. Plenty to dive into. And yes, again last night it seems like, at least to our understanding, that the OpTic guys weren't really practicing yet, which is maybe a bit of a concern. And the question is, after what happened last night with Los Angeles Guerrillas confirming their roster, Huke now being a free agent, if Huke is to join OpTic, and that might well still happen, even though as it stands it doesn't seem like it's at all guaranteed. But if that was to happen, many would say, you know what, it makes more sense to have Scump, Shotzzy, Huke and Dashy as opposed to having Scump, Shotzzy, Huke and iLLeY, let's just say, and have a traditional main AR. However, Dashy does not seem to be there any longer as a main AR. The question is whether they put iLLeY on that role, whether they put Scump on that role, whether they ask Dashy to return as a 4 without Huke being there at all, who knows. But still, many would say that they should probably keep Dashy regardless if that's what they want to do with getting Huke in, but maybe like the chemistry is just completely shot between those guys, and maybe they don't really rate Dashy's impact as being particularly high, as Octane seems to agree with here in a couple of seconds. Now, firstly, some drama on the London side, because Paulix confirms last night he's been benched from the team. Now, this is probably a bit unnecessary from Paulix here, because in fairness, nothing has been confirmed by London, right? They haven't said what's happening here. Now, agreed, Paulix's challenger team, Decimate Gaming, already confirmed the other day he's going to be joining them, but Paulix tweeted out last night, streaming the Elite Qualifier tomorrow. Many of you guys know I was benched from Matty, that being Skrapz, of course, and will be in challenges. Now, this hasn't been announced, it's just been rumoured. We all knew it was happening, but it's still kind of funny that Paulix would, okay, if he says he's benched, then I guess that's okay, just because it's already been revealed by his own challengers team that he is benched, but saying he's benched for a specific player to come into the roster, that's not yet been announced, and therefore Skrapz wasn't so happy about it. Now, then again, Skrapz, like, you know, not exactly a massive deal, but Skrapz is in the team anyway, and obviously there's some drama about Skrapz getting a shot anyway. Hasn't really been in the scene for the last couple of years. Great player in his day. Is he that player nowadays? I'm not so sure. You know, if people are going to point out Friendship League situations, this is a such example, but it might work out for London at the end of the day. Paulix goes on to say, I'm streaming the Elite Qualifier tomorrow, and you're our sub. Who else is going to be starting? We both know the announcement wasn't coming out today or tomorrow. Thanks for announcing my team, my G. You're here, he says. Thumbs up emoji, not very happy with you at all. And then going on to say this, I thought was kind of funny. Everyone knew Tank, so that gives him the right to announce it. And yeah, I'll gift your mum these nuts. Pretty good stuff. Another thumbs up emoji. So yeah, I guess it's good to have Skrapz back in the scene with stuff like this hitting the timeline on maybe a daily basis. Quick note as well, because yesterday, of course, LAG confirmed their roster exceeds. Excited to get ready to go. Just to mention this from Beans, I've no idea really what he's on about here, to be honest. But I thought I'd mention it anyway. If I can't play you in challenges, I'll play you on the big stage. Congrats, you returned man. So I wonder if, you know, they didn't really match up too much, LAG Academy versus Boston Academy in challenges. So Beans is maybe saying that, okay, he's been promoted to a starting team, or he's just kind of biding his time until he can get in that spot once again. And some individuals giving their thoughts on the LAG roster itself. I mean, I know I said blow it up, but she shares aches because, well, seemingly he's not a big fan of what they're doing with their team. We shall see going forward. Last night, there was so much bait going down on some of these streams, what Parasite was saying about this massive thing happening, this deal had been done, like all this happening behind the scenes. Zuba, you know, checking DMs, be like, oh wow, that's crazy. But we still don't really know what's going on the OpTic side. The Huke move seems the most likely, but as it stands, it's far from guaranteed. So at some point, the bait will all come to an end. We'll actually know what's happening here, but maybe OpTic don't really even know what they're doing quite as of yet. And just this from Seattle Surge, pretty much confirming that as it stands, we're not going to get a Seattle Surge Pred to OpTic type move, because, I mean, look, at the end of the day, it's just a picture, but it is nonetheless a picture here of Pred in the Seattle jersey, and just like that, we're right back to work. So maybe confirming that at least for this stage, there's going to be no moves here. I think it's maybe expected at this point that Pred might go to OpTic at the end of the season, but as it stands, it hasn't happened for various reasons, you could argue, and kind of confirming here from the Seattle side that indeed they will be running it back at least for one more stage, which of course makes perfect sense, right? They did come second at the last major. Now, as Ronnie Dust pointed out though, like surely they're going to scrim today if they are indeed running it back, and seemingly they're not scrimming yesterday, and therefore arguably they're not running it back right. So yeah, if they were to bring Dashy back and they were to have decided that, they probably would have just scrimmed and got some practice in yesterday. Not the case though, so they're maybe considering what they're doing. Even Ben J. Nassim was basically saying that they don't even know what they want to do, which is probably not ideal when you're about 1 week away from the Major 2 qualifiers, when you've had several weeks at this point to really figure out what you're planning to do, but apparently they still don't really know. So not ideal, and of course if they don't know, then we certainly don't know as fans of the situation. And even one more L for OpTic spotted yesterday, that the hash flags seem to have disappeared from some of their hashtags, right? So hashtag green wall no longer brings up an OpTic emoji, which I think it did before on OpTic like logo, right? And brick by brick works, but it has this really like weird squashed one, and OpTic and OpTic Gaming also don't work. So don't know what's going on there, but I guess they've got to get that one sorted out, because yeah, even like Vegas Legion have got theirs sorted out, so OpTic have to figure this one out as well. And even Crim mentioning Zeo is back, also what Bance said yesterday, which makes me even less likely to think that this is actually occurring, because yeah, the more people talk about it, the less likely it probably is to be happening. But streamer Octane has been back at it again the last few days. Ben J. Nassim was going through his tier list so far of certain players in different roles, did his AR tier list, did his flex tier list, and Octane gives his thoughts on where Dashy should be placed. So of course Octane gets kind of favourable reviews here from Ben in this tier list ranking, and Dashy, Octane's commenting and saying, okay, where is Dashy going to go? In Octane's opinion, he says he should go into the needs work category. Not doing so well right now, needs to step up his game from an AR perspective, and I do kind of agree that from OpTic's side, their strength was in their SMG duo, their AR duo was letting them down, I think in general, the first stage here, right, Major 1, qualifiers, and the Major itself. So I can understand Octane's perspective here, and he says, look, Dashy's got to be in the needs work category. Then Ben puts him in the kind of impact player category, as in, you know, one of the better ARs, and Octane's like, damn, it shouldn't have said that, the chili pepper emojis are already coming for me.
He has much flour to say kids.
OpTic Texas,
did,
Dashy?
So I'm gonna go with this for now. We're probably gonna have to fill out the rest.
Oh, this is good. Oh, no, wait. Oh, no, wait. Okay, hold on. Hold on, chat. We have to play this strategically. Okay, hold on, chat. Let me think. Chat, let me think. Wait, chat. Let me think. Okay. Okay. What would Ben say about Dashy? Would he call him a glue guy? Or would he call him an impact player? Or would Ben say that Dashy needs work? I'm gonna say that Dashy needs work, chat. I'm gonna say that Bruce needs work. I can hear, I can see the pepper emojis. I can see the pepper emojis in my future, bro. Listen. Oh no, this isn't good. This isn't good. Chat, this isn't good.
So this is the tier list that Ben J. Nassim comes up with here, with the all-stars being Octane and Skies. So it's interesting that Octane's here, I think deservedly so to an extent. And in fairness, outside of Skies, there's not really been like a crazy standout AR. Like I don't think Octane's stats are crazy. And of course their results weren't crazy good either, Los Angeles Thieves, but I can understand why he's here. I thought that he had potential to be one of the top players this season. If the KDs that ARs were able to put up in this game is similar to what it was 3 years ago in Modern Warfare 2019, then in the impact player category, he gets Insight in there, which I think is deserved, Attach, Slasher, Arcitys, and also Dashy in that category. Then the glue guys goes to, I think understandably, Accuracy is in there, Clayster is in there, even he puts Methods in there, and then Needs Work goes to Zero and Major Maniac, who are of course on a couple of the weaker performing teams so far in this game. So Dashy finds himself in the impact player category, but it's interesting that Octane said that he thinks he deserved the Needs Work category. Now in fairness, I don't think Octane has always been the biggest fan of Dashy's playstyle. I remember back in the Cold War season, I think at some point, Octane was saying how Scump was their best player by quite a margin, even though statistically Dashy might have been stronger, and even of course last year in Vanguard, Dashy had some great numbers, but the likes of maybe Octane and others, you know, obviously weren't super impressed with Dashy's impact on the map, let's say. And I think maybe Octane was kind of surprised that Dashy got the impact player category, when I think some pros, maybe Octane included, don't think Dashy, what he does on the map is actually that impactful. Now whether Octane is exactly saying that Dashy is overrated here is a little bit unclear, just because, of course, look, Ben J. Nassim puts him in the impact players category, so obviously Octane believes that Ben is overrating him here. Whether the community agrees, like if you took the entire fan base and said, where would you put Dashy, you know, they probably would put him higher on average than Octane clearly considers him to be, if he's basically saying that he's, as it stands, a D or a C tier AR in the current state of the game. And you can understand why his numbers weren't great, pretty much at a 1.0 flat in stage 1, which isn't really Dashy numbers at all, but pretty good stuff nonetheless from from the streamer Sam. He's been absolutely killing it with the content the last few days, as I'm sure some of you guys have noticed. Now, the other thing to mention here has also been Jay Rezium's tier list for the flex players, right? So these are the all-stars now. I don't know how much of this is based on having fantastic symmetry here with 3 in each category or what, but yeah, he again puts iLLeY in the needs work category. This I thought was quite interesting though, because between Ben and Octane, they would have both of OpTic's ARs in the needs work, as in, you know, C tier, gotta improve quickly category, or you're gonna get drops type thing, which is, you know, pretty interesting. I mean, he's got Scrappy, Simp, and Cellium in the all-stars. I guess Cellium is technically the flex, right, for the FaZe team. Doesn't always feel like that, but technically that is, I guess, the way it is. To me, Drazah is like, you know, Drazah gets a lot of hate, and I think understandably, because the guy is always going to be a divisive character, but man, this guy deserves his credit. I'd put him up one more tier, I think. Then Awakening and Temper here. Then you've got Cammy, who hasn't been great so far. Bracken, Priester, of course. Maybe Priester deserves to go up one as well. And then needs work goes to Spart and Porlex, both of which have been dropped already, but iLLeY is going to stay around. But I do think there's an element to which iLLeY is kind of, you know, getting a hard time here over the past few weeks from some OpTic fans, and I'll just share here from Octane as well, where he talks about the fact that a lot of fans are similarly trying to discredit what iLLeY has achieved in the past and underrate his impact.
Would Empire have fared better in Cold War if they kept Clay over iLLeY? So the OpTic fans have gone so far to the point that they thought that iLLeY was going to get it dropped. Now they're just discrediting everything that Ender has ever done because he's rumored to be getting dropped. I love Reddit. Reddit is the best in the world, bro. He gets dropped from his current team. Let's dig through his past to figure out what other dog he was like,
because it wasn't too long ago when iLLeY was in that OpTic team, and then he was gone from the OpTic team and Prolute came in, and they did rather well with Prolute initially, Major 3 qualifiers and stuff like that, and a lot of credit was going to iLLeY, and the entire team said, yeah, iLLeY's like implemented this great system that's allowed Prolute to step in. And then when they went to the majors and kind of failed to perform, then the kind of discussion was, oh yeah, iLLeY like real glue guy on LAN, got the leadership, got the communication, obviously got what it takes in that sense, and you know, similar kind of discussion to what was being had a couple of years ago on Dallas Empire when iLLeY was kind of an important factor to their success. Then over the last couple of months, really, it's gone downhill drastically, and iLLeY's gone from being considered an incredibly important aspect to that OpTic team and also the teams in the past to now being basically a burger that should just get dropped immediately. So I don't necessarily think that either case is correct, but nonetheless, I do feel like iLLeY's getting a bit of a hard time, and it was kind of obvious when this initial team was formed with the OpTic guys that iLLeY would be the scapegoat, right? That's always how it's been with OpTic. Even the Dynasty days, whenever they failed to perform, Karma would always get the blame because he was the guy to fill gaps, he was the guy to do the dirty work, and he wasn't expected to drop crazy numbers, but when he didn't and they lost, Karma would get the blame. Same thing you could argue here for iLLeY, but there seems to be a reason why Dashy is getting dropped rather than iLLeY, despite what the numbers would necessarily indicate and what some fans might necessarily say. Maybe that's a relationship with the coaching staff, maybe that's for various different reasons, but it seems to be that iLLeY's going to stay and Dashy's going to go as it stands, which there must be a reason for, and Octane kind of gets into, right, and he's like, well look, people are going to discredit what iLLeY achieved in the past, and look, at the end of the day, iLLeY, when he came into the scene following up from the E-United cadets of Simp and Cellium, and even Turn Up Too Easy was the other one, but iLLeY was expected after his S&D performances back in the day to be a Simp level player. He's not been that dominant force on the map that Simp has been, he's never been that type of player, and therefore maybe gets slightly underrated in a sense to what he does on the map, but then again, nowadays in Call of Duty, you've got to put numbers up, right? You've got to deliver the performances in terms of numbers that we saw from Los Angeles Thieves when they won the World Championship last year. Their entire team had between a 1.05 and a 1.1. That maybe is the way to do it nowadays. iLLeY can't always do that, so the criticism is understandable, but nonetheless, there's probably a reason why they're looking to keep iLLeY over Dashy, maybe partly based on what Octane has said over these last few minutes, but very much enjoyed your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new as always, take care, and I'll see you next time.